Hi everyone, welcome to this week's edition of the Book Place Friends podcast. I am Kelsey.
Hey guys, I'm Penny, and in this week's episode, we're going to kick off Craniofacial Acceptance Month by talking about Craniofacial Acceptance Month. That's our theme for today. So join us, sit back, relax, grab a drink if you haven't already. We can, pause. We can wait. Yeah, you got your drink? Awesome. All right. So I wanted to kind of ask, I'm going to just kind of start off with a question, Kelsey. What does Craniofacial Acceptance Month mean to you?
To me, it means being able to raise awareness and spread information about craniofacial differences and why people should care and why it's important for acceptance and awareness and everything like that. So I think it's a really important month to raise awareness and get the word out there about not only the conditions that we live with, but all craniofacial differences.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty much bang on with what I feel as well. I think it's important that we can use this month to broaden other people's horizons with craniofacial differences, because the community, I'd say, I guess, it's relatively small compared to other communities like cancer and all of that. So I think raising. Sorry,
no, I don't want to interrupt, but I feel like it's not like talked about. No one really talks about it.
Exactly.
No one really knows that it's craniofacial awareness or craniofacial awareness month. No one really knows that because the mainstream media, nothing talks about it. So.
Right, exactly. And that kind of brings me to another point is, you kind of misspoke there, but it worked out perfectly. You said awareness when in fact it's acceptance. So the difference, exactly, it's Craniofacial Acceptance Month versus Craniofacial Awareness Month.
Right.
And the difference between those two words plays, and I don't know if I like overanalyze things too much or whatnot, but I noticed over the years is that with all of the months that bring awareness to all types of different health-related issues, or really any kind of big push to educate, I think ours is really the only one that uses acceptance versus awareness. There's, childhood cancer awareness, diabetes, Alzheimer's, all of, the big ones that I can think of off the top of my head. They're always bringing awareness to it, trying to raise funds to help battle or, kind of like defeat it, so that nobody ever has to live with cancer or diabetes or Alzheimer's or all of that. Whereas with our community, we're trying to hammer home acceptance and trying to shed light on our differences and bring it to the mainstream. Why do you think, or how do you feel that approach is working? Like, how do you feel the differences between awareness and acceptance?
Okay, so that was my mistake. It is craniofacial acceptance month, not awareness. Okay, so see, it shows how educated I am.
No.
Okay, but I think so. Awareness I think awareness is one thing. Education, teaching people about whatever different things are out there. And awareness is great. But I actually had this conversation before about the acceptance versus like inclusion, like whatever, like different. Anyway, whatever. That's an aside. But so awareness versus acceptance. Awareness is education, whatever. But acceptance is making people comfortable, when making people accept and include those that have craniofacial differences. Not just like, okay, I'm aware of this, but actually going a step further and being okay and comfortable and not like afraid or like like, oh, what's that, that's weird, like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think that we obviously need more awareness about different conditions like Moliere syndrome and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we also need, it's one thing to be educated, but it's another completely different thing to be actually inclusive and accepting and seeing people as people, not
That's human. Yeah.
as humans, and not seeing their difference. And I think, and you know what? It's not even about not seeing the difference, because like that's not what we're talking
That's
about.
a whole other problem.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like you want people to look past the difference. You want people to learn about the difference, but look past it and get to know the person.
And be supportive of what those differences bring. A lot of, and I know we talked about this before, and it's about accepting that just because somebody looks different does not diminish their capacity to be a human, whether it's, to be a part of a larger conversation about policy or, assuming that just because somebody looks different in any way, whether they're use as mobile assistive devices like wheelchairs or canes or walkers, or they just look different because they have a facial difference. It is not a measure of worth. It's not a measure of ability of any kind.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, like I agree. Acceptance needs to be more about accepting the whole human as they are, whether they have a facial difference or they have tattoos that you don't like or anything. Like it's, we accept so much in society the fact that, and that's again one of the reasons why we started this podcast, is because we want to level the playing field. We want that education because it's not happening.
We want the awareness, but I think more than that, we want the acceptance.
Yeah, exactly. We want to see at the dining table, because at this point we're
Exactly.
not even the same building.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like 100%. That is a perfect way to put it. We're not, people with disabilities are not. They're not at the table. They're not even in the same building. Like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is. Yeah.
Right. So why do you think? Because this has been a frustration of mine, literally year in and year out, every time Craniofacial Acceptance Month comes up, is it feels like we're talking to a void. that we're the only ones saying something. We're the only ones championing it. We're the only ones that are here for it versus, and again, it's hard to not compare, even though I don't necessarily always want to compare, but why do you think it's not such a huge thing? Like, why isn't it national or international or anything like that? Like, cancer, we know October is what, breast cancer awareness month. Like, it's a huge thing.
Yeah,
Millions of dollars are raised, like merchandise, like it's a huge thing. Why isn't it a thing for September, like Craniofacial Acceptance Month? I wonder, like, why do you think?
I honestly think that two things. It's not big, like there's not a lot, like cancer and even like autism, Down syndrome, like all those things affect so many more people than craniofacial differences. So I think that it's not, like, it's just not a known thing, and it's not glamorous. It's not like,
It's not sexy.
that's what I was gonna say. It's not sexy, it's not glamorous, it's not something that celebrities and all these famous people are jumping on the bandwagon for. It's not something that everyone talks about because I think it's more of like a grassroots kind of movement. I don't think it's big enough for anyone to pick up on or quite frankly to care about. So I think that we as people in the craniofacial difference community, I think that we need to make a lot more noise, and we need to really like bring this to to the to a global
Wider audience.
economy. Yeah, and I think that again, I don't want to compare, but I think that when you look at things like the LGBTQ community and like Pride and stuff like that, 10, 15 years ago, that would matter. Like, it wasn't, we didn't have the parades, we, like, I mean, not as much as we have now, but now that the community spoke up and they were listened to, I hope, and they had their voices heard to a point, and now everyone celebrates Pride every, like, June. So yeah, right? And then Pride is like September, whatever. So, but anyway, so I think that again, that was not an overnight thing that everyone celebrated. It was years in the making. And so I think that we have to have kind of the same movement, and we have to really use our voices and our platforms to educate people about craniofacial acceptance.
Yeah, I don't think I really thought of it. Well, I guess I kind of did, but not really. Not the way that you put it, is that we're not big enough. I guess when something impacts you, it feels so much bigger than, I guess, what it is. So I don't know. I think you probably hit the nail on the head with that. Is that nobody cares because it's not big enough. It doesn't impact enough people. And the conditions that you do see the most often are like cleft lip and cleft palate, and those ones get the most attention. And then again, I know those are complex and whatever, but they seem to also be the ones that are most easy to fix, kind of.
Yeah, I know.
Not in all, obviously not in all cases and all that, but but yeah, like, just, I wish more allies spoke out and cared and stuff like that. Not necessarily our allies, because our personal allies are amazing and obviously like that, but at the end of the month, I always count the number of tweets or posts, even by organizations that support those with differences, and I'm generally saddened by the lack of like get up and go kind of thing. There's not a lot.
There's no conversation about it.
No.
And it's very unfortunate. And so what do you envision? What do you think we can do to change that? Because I think we need to change it.
I keep trying to call out bullshit when I see it. I think it's more, I guess for me, it's more of a year-long thing. It's not just a month thing.
Right.
So I think there needs to be more partnerships with organizations that support facial differences, and the media getting or creating programs or creating or initiating internships or anything that gets those with differences networking with those in the media or those in organizations that can get the word out, can help make a difference. Have it, I guess, the biggest win that I can see, like if you were to ask me, in 50, 70, 100 years from now, what would you consider a win? And I think for me, it would be seeing somebody in like a movie or a TV show as a normal human with a facial difference in a role that isn't a villain or isn't glorified, isn't pitied, isn't anything. I think so much, and I know we'll talk about this in future episodes, but so much of what we see as a society or what we deem acceptable as a society is within the stories we tell, within the movies we see, within all of that, and there isn't enough of that. And I think that's, from a person who loves social media and loves movies and all of that, I that's where I think I want to see the biggest change, because I think once we change the narrative, once we change how we see stories told, I think that's where society will finally go. Like, it won't be a immediate negative reaction to see somebody that looks so much different than them.
Right, and I think when you talk about like media and movies in particular, it's either a villain. Okay, so when you like people with facial difference, it's either a villain or sensationalized, pretty soft story. Those are really the two things.
That's pretty. Yeah, there's no
in between. And I think like, there's no diversity in we talk about diversity a lot right now, in terms of like race and stuff like that, but there's no discussion really about disability diversity in anything, in media or anything. So
yeah, you went to school and then for journalism, right? Is that what your BA is in?
Well, I got my diploma in journalism, and then my BA is communications.
Okay, so you have a degree in journalism.
Yeah.
And it is sad to say that if you went to apply for a on-air news anchor role,
oh no,
there's no way.
No way. There is
No
no
way.
way in heck that I'm
You would,
not gonna.
you wouldn't even get an interview, and if you did get an interview because you didn't tell them that you had a difference first, which again is a whole other episode, um, they would probably do the most minimum interview that they could do to get you open.
It would be 5 minutes, and they'd be like, no, like no, that's no way. Oh, that's no way. There's
Exactly.
0% chance of that happening. And I mean, not that I necessarily want it to be on air anyway.
No, but that's the thing.
Like
I knew growing up that there is a whole, you always hear parents go, "Oh, you can be whatever you want." I'm like, "Yeah, you can't." Like my mom never said that to me or my sister, but that's again whole other issue. But even if she did say that, it's not true. Like
no.
I couldn't be an actor or an actress or a dancer or um, anything that requires me to be in the public in that kind of way. There's no way in this where we are as a society right now. Not an option. I'm lucky if I could get a job at like a store, like an Old Navy or a bookstore. I'd be lucky if I could get that because I don't look normal, and I've had those interviews and they're not pleasant.
No, they're not.
But like I said, that's a whole other podcast about jobs and stuff like that.
But I mean, it's true. Like, and I think it does tie in with craniofacial acceptance. Is that there is none. Like, there really isn't. When you're in the job market, and when you're in not even the job market, but like society in general. Like, do you think that I could go be like a model or
no.
like
They're just tiny, and some of it feels like pity. Opening up runways to those with like disabilities in terms of
because it's
mobility aids like wheelchairs and stuff like that, and Down syndrome. But again, those, especially for the Down syndrome community, it's great, and I want to see more of it so that it doesn't feel like it's a pity thing, because right now, unfortunately, that's what it feels like to me. But even when you see the models who are using mobility aid devices, they're still smoking hot. Like they're still a 10 out of 10 attractive. Like they're not. Again, this isn't to diminish the work that they've done, the boundaries that they've broken, because they have, and it's amazing, and I applaud and appreciate them. But there's no, I guess really the only person I know of is Winnie Harlow, I think is her stage name. I know her real name is something different, and she has a different. She has a vitiligo, but it's beautiful and all that, and it's an anomaly. It's not. We're not in the mainstream. We're not going to be picked to be in an ad for anything. We're not going to be picked to walk down a runway unless it's something specific to disability or awareness or anything like that. It's more that. It's not going to be. It's not like I can go to an open casting call for literally anything and hope to heck that I would get picked.
Oh god, yeah. No. Exactly. And it's people are like, oh well, you're like pessimistic or whatever, and it's like, no, like I think I'm being a realist, and I know how the world works. And oh my god, a school bus just went by. Oh wow, sorry. Wow, I can't believe it's September. Anyway, sorry. It's like I would never get cast in like a mainstream TV show that did not specifically have to do with disabilities.
Exactly.
And you know what? And the thing is, even people who are chosen to portray people with disabilities don't have disabilities themselves. So like we can't even blame ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, that's another.
If we were to try to do not more, but I know last week we talked about our we had a brief discussion about our experiences in school.
Mhm.
School is hard enough to begin with without a difference, for having it made it worse in 99% of cases. Do you think you would have benefited from like an educational program that introduced students to facial differences? I think I go back and forth on this, and as I'm asking this now, I might be changing my mind. Do you think it's something that should be taught? And if so, how would you like to see it approached?
I definitely think that like in elementary school, I think it would be beneficial. And I think that especially nowadays we have more like um more education geared toward not disabilities but other like marginalized communities. So I definitely think that there should be some kind of like I don't know exactly how I would like to see it run, but I think that there definitely should be um some kind of program in schools that introduces like kids, and not only kids but like teachers and everyone, to people that have differences. And I think that maybe that's um maybe that's done in the form of like a like I don't know exactly, but I do know that there are like not a lot, but there are some books about like disability, like kids books about disability stuff like that, and I think that um incorporate those incorporates um seeing people like face to face that have differences. Um, Positive exposure, which I've talked about, I don't know if I've talked about it, but it's an organization that I am very invested in. Um, they have a program where people with differences, any kind of differences, they have their own blog on the Positive Exposure website, and that blog then goes into schools and teachers use it to really teach about differences. And it's not, the blog is not about their differences necessarily, it's about their everyday lives. And to show that just because someone's different doesn't mean that they don't have normal lives. So
Right.
That's a really amazing initiative, I think. And I will link the Positive Exposure site um in the description box, and everyone can check it out because I really like it's a really amazing organization, and I'm super happy to be a part of it. But I think things like that, taking those things into classrooms and making kids aware of differences, all differences. And so I think that I definitely think that would help kids and teachers, everyone really, to
Right.
to be more educated And then when they see someone with a difference out in the world, they won't be like, oh, what's that? Like, that's scary. I've never seen that before. Blah, blah. Like, it will be like, oh, I remember I read a story about this, or I saw a blog about someone who has whatever, and then we'll kind of like connect the dots kind of thing, and they will be so ignorant, I guess, and
Yeah, I like with most things, I flip flop. As you were talking about, or as you were talking, I thought maybe a great way to do it would be to have a module in the curriculum that's like inclusion and diversity kind of thing, where they talk about all of those social, all the things that make somebody different, whether it's social economics, social, whatever, like different colors, different ethnicities, different sexual orientation,
absolutely,
different disabilities, like a module that looks at that. And I think that might be a constructive way to approach it, because what I worry about, and I know what I don't know, I've never experienced it, but I've seen it. You know, like you're the new kid in class, or you have a difference, and there's like an assembly or something, and it's like, here's this person, they're different, and it's like pointing a spotlight on them instead of just being. Sometimes I feel like that has the opposite impact.
Oh, I think it does. I think that when you call out someone specifically in the middle of like in the middle of whatever, it's not so much like educational. It's like, oh, look at this person, and look how.
Yeah, it's like this is what difference is. We're telling you you have to accept it, and that's it. Like I said, I was really lucky. I wasn't exposed to that in school, in terms of, and I know we talked about last week, I was always pretty much the new kid, all the time in elementary school. But I don't remember, but my memory is very hazy from when I was younger, so I don't remember a lot. But from what I remember, school, I was never brought up to the front of the class and essentially like, this is why she looks this way.
I don't think I was there.
I don't think it would have helped.
Oh, I'm humiliated. No way.
Yeah, I don't think I would have enjoyed it, and
No.
I don't think it would have helped. But yeah,
But on the other hand, I do know so Mobile Syndrome Awareness Day is January 24th, and I know that like a lot of parents go into schools and talk to their kids' classes about like Mobile Syndrome and what it is. And I for the last couple years, I have gone into a school where this little girl that I know, she also has pneumonia. So I go into the school and talk to the entire school, and it's a celebration. They have a celebration of Pneumonia Syndrome Awareness Day. Like, it's amazing. And I think that the girl that goes to that school, like, her mom has told me, it makes her feel so special and so like valued and important that everyone, she's kind of the most important person in the school that day, and it really like means a lot to her. So I think, but I do think it depends how you go about it. If you call someone up to the front of the class and you say, this is like, this is what they have, and you better not ever ask any questions or be into them, that's not effective. But when you like speak about differences in general, and how we're all kind of different, and it's more like a celebration. I think that is that can be good.
Yeah.
So it depends how you go about it, honestly.
I guess that's the approach that we should be taking. I find sometimes I'd be lying if I said I'm in a great place always mentally. My mental health isn't always the greatest. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I go down the dark path with a lot of things, and I forget about how positive things can be. So I think that if we were to go in schools and teach, I agree, it needs to be more about celebrating differences and celebrating not necessarily with the little girl that, we're celebrating her, and I'm glad that she finds that empowering. Mm-hmm. and she's at a good age. I've seen pictures and I've seen you post about it, and I think I love it. I love how the community rallies with her, for her, yeah, not without her. And we go back to that same saying, nothing about us without us. And I think that's how it needs to be. If there is going to be modules in schools, or there's going to be any kind of educational or literature or anything like that, it needs to be done from within the community out. It shouldn't be something that is talked about us.
Right. Yeah.
It shouldn't. I've had the weird thing happen a year or two ago, where one of my friends posted, but I guess in the school, in the local school, they showed a movie or something that the school board had put together, and I guess it was about differences or something. I don't know, but I was told after the fact, like weeks later, that I was in it, which I found very weird.
What?
So it's that thing where the school boards are clearly doing something, but they're not doing it with us. They're doing it about us. They're not doing it with us. So I'm a realist and very skeptical about having anybody do anything like that without express consent, without express input. So I don't know. Like I think it needs to be, I don't want to say taught. I know that's what I said in our outline and when we talked about it. I don't think it's something that, it's shitty that we have to have a conversation where we have to ask, do you think we need to teach kids about how not to be little a-holes?
Yeah.
But it's essentially what we have to do. And
yeah.
I think September is obviously on a regular year when it's not COVID, is back to school month for a lot of regions. I know in pretty much most of Canada, I think, September is back to school. I know some other countries have different school years and different ways of doing it. So I think September, pairing Craniofacial Acceptance Month with back to school, teaching about differences, I think it's a great pairing. It's a great way to have a module about inclusion and diversity, and inserting different facial differences within that in a framework that is created by the facial difference community. I think, well, that's what I worry about, I guess, is that if there are things being taught, it's being taught without us. And I don't know what the message is that they're teaching. And I assume it's good, but I don't know if kids nowadays are getting that message.
Yeah, and it's one thing to say, like, this is someone in a wheelchair, or this is someone with a facial difference, and you should not be mean to them. But it's one thing to say that, but it's one thing to, it's another to have someone, like a photo of someone, or a video of someone, or someone coming in to a class or whatever and saying, "Hi, I'm Kelsey. This is who I am. Blah, blah, blah. Like, this is why I look different. This is how it makes me feel. Like you're a little shitty person." Like, you know what I mean? Like, that hits the message home more than someone saying, "Yeah, just don't bully people." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't think the anti-bullying messages are really getting.
no, because they're not. They don't have any like a face. It's not putting like a face to anything. It's
Yeah.
just empty words. Like, don't bully.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Like, you shouldn't have to tell people that. And like, you should not have to tell people, don't be a dick. Like, I mean, sorry, not.
But here we are. Cheers. We have to tell people that.
Yeah, but that brings me to my next point is that, like, I should not have to explain myself. Why do I have to sit here and explain myself and why I look different or whatever to people? Like
Yeah.
why? That's not something that I like.
No.
And like,
And that's why I think I want Craniofacial Acceptance Month to take off more than it is, because I don't want to have to keep explaining myself, and I don't want to have to have those conversations, because I don't have to. Why I look different, what my medical history is, what my conditions are called, all of that at the end of the day is nobody else's business.
well, that's exactly it. So I go back and forth between yes, I want to raise awareness because education is key, but maybe but in the same vein, like why?
Why? So yeah,
Why do I have to educate people? You know what I mean? Like, why can't people just accept people at face value, and not at face value, because
accept a person for your actions, not based on anything that they can't change. So I can't change the way that I look. I can change the color of my hair. So if you don't like the color of my hair, then that's a valid
yeah,
whatever. Like, you have the right to feel that way. But you can't. Yes, Kelsey just got her hair dyed and it looks amazing. It's fresh in my brain. But you don't have a right to tell me you don't like the way that I look, like in terms of the way that I choose to dress, or the way that I look. Like, I can't change this.
I mean, so, like, when I talk about the instances where like kids come up to me or whatever and they say like, why do you look weird and shit like that? Like,
yeah.
Like, and people are like, oh, like, educate them, tell them about why. Like,
yeah,
why
I'm
do
not
I
here for that.
have to do that? Like, I would never walk up to someone and be like, oh,
why do you have gray hair? Like,
yeah, why are you so big? Like, why do you wear glasses? Like, none of my business. And
exactly.
it's not about what I have. Like, it's not about like movies or whatever. It's like, who cares? Like, what difference it make? Why should I have to explain?
Exactly.
So I go back and forth between like, yeah, it's important to educate people, but also why? Like, why do I have to do that? It's
exactly.
yeah.
So that's why I get frustrated when September Craniofacial Acceptance Month isn't picked up by the general media, or it's the same thing with everything that we go through. We're pretty much ignored. Disability as a whole is ignored a lot, and disability as a whole isn't brought to the table. Those are facial differences more so. So I think for this year, I've been trying something different, and I know you've seen me starting. So if you're on social media, I'll link our Twitter handles. I feel like I'm an old person when I don't know. I'll link our Twitter handles, but every day I've committed to posting a tweet with the hashtag Craniofacial Acceptance Month. It's generally something real in the moment about living with a facial difference, and it's definitely to bring awareness to acceptance, and that's, I guess, the best way that I can put it. So I think if I were to wrap this up in conclusion, and I'd probably have to say, just learn from us and with us, and if you're an ally, please remember to share our posts. Remember to talk about your experiences as an ally with us, and just promote September. Not only is it my birthday, but also not today. Sorry, in September. But to celebrate our differences, and to celebrate and bring awareness, so that we are not screaming into the void.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Because I mean, yeah, I can post about it, I can tweet about it, whatever. But if no one's listening, then it's like, what's the point, kind of thing? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that people need to, just because you personally are not affected by facial difference, doesn't mean that you can't care about it, or you can't help, like, raise awareness and acceptance and whatever. So yeah, so I do wish that more people would care, for sure.
Yeah, so I guess that's a hope for everybody. If you are listening to this podcast and you like it, then share it, subscribe, follow us on our social media handles, join our Facebook group. All of that, again, is going to be linked in the description box below. And we're going to be back next week talking about something again related, and we hope that you'll join us, because we're having fun making these. But we want to make sure that you're enjoying listening and watching and engaging with us, because that's what we hope. That's why we're doing this.
And if there's anything that you want us to talk about, any questions, anything that you want to know about, like, please let us know, and we will do our best to
add it to us.
Yeah. Exactly. We'll talk about, and we will talk about anything. So,
yeah. Exactly. If you have some random topic that's not about facial differences, we'll explore it. Let us know.
We will. So, yeah, let us know, please.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us this week. Like I said, we will see you next week. We appreciate your listening and your engagement, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. We will see you next week. Bye.